We all know the reality that for every action, there is an equal and opposite reaction. This is very true when we're trying to implement change in our organization. For every action we take to push forward with a change, we're going to encounter equal forces pushing back against us. These forces can either be at the individual level or they can actually be at the whole organizational level. We'll take a look at both of these in turn. At the individual level, the biggest reaction against change that we'll encounter is an emotional reaction. Researchers have found 6 different emotional reactions that are pretty common when we put change into place in an organization. And these are reactions that we get at the individual level. The first individual reaction that you may encounter is a fear of being in a position of economic insecurity. In other words, people will be afraid that they're going to lose their jobs with this change. The second reaction we'll get at the emotional level is a fear of the unknown. We like things to be predictable, and change, unfortunately, is often not predictable. The third thing at the individual level is that there can be a threat to existing social relationships within the organization. Change often brings a redistribution of power among the different people in the organization, and this changes the relationships, and people are afraid that they will lose the relationships that are important to them. The fourth thing we may encounter at the individual level is simply inertia. People want to keep doing things the same way they've always done them because that's the same way they've always done them. The fifth thing we may encounter at the individual level is a lack of understanding about the need for change. Some people simply don't think that there's any need for change, and so they don't buy into it. The final thing we may encounter at the individual level is a fear of losing power. Any individual who stands to lose some of the power they have as a result of these changes, they will push back and they will resist the change. Researchers have been trying to figure out at the individual level what happens when change is put into place. And they came up with these 4 stages that every individual goes through when confronted with a change. The first stage is called the denial stage. At this stage, everyone experiences some kind of negative reaction to the change. It could be shock, it could be grief, it could be irritation or frustration. Some people will stay in this stage for a very short time, literally just a few minutes, and other people will stay at this stage for a long time, sometimes for up to months. The second stage is the resistance stage. This is also a very negative place for a person to be. At this stage, a person will either try to retreat from the change and say, keep this change away from me, I don't want anything to do with this, or they will get very, very angry. The third stage here for an individual is called the exploration stage. At this stage, the person lets some of the negativity go and they start to think and they look at the change and they think, well, maybe this won't be quite so bad, and okay, here's something that's a little bit good and I can handle this. So at this stage, people are starting to get comfortable with the idea of the change. The final stage for an individual is the commitment stage. At this stage, the person says, you know what, I'm good for this. I can deal with this change, bring it on.